and welcome to Light for Life. If you are returning to our channel, thank you. We value and appreciate you. Our aim is to shine a bright light on your inner splendor and assist to connect you to your magnificence via what we intend to be enlightened sharing, potentially educational and hopefully entertaining information, as well as encouragement for new perspectives. If you are new here, you are most welcome. We do hope that you will find our content highly beneficial and enjoyable. I am Liz. I'm a Science of Mind practitioner and a teacher of various healing modalities applicable to all aspects of the self and this life.
And I am Lori. I am a holistic wellness researcher and educator. Welcome to Connections with Liss and Lori. We use this space to offer our perspective regarding multiple different topics that we certainly hope you find inspiring. Today, Liss and I are going to explore the topic of breakthrough. This one is going to be a little different than some of the others that we record in that neither one of us has any idea where this is going to go. So if you are willing to go along on the journey with us, we're excited about this one because what even is breakthrough? Here's what I do know for certain, that breakthrough is not a result. It's the actual act of doing whatever it is that you want to achieve. And along the way, there are points where you have these awakenings, perhaps, or these really profound aha moments. Those are your breakthroughs that continue to happen, in my opinion, throughout the course of life. It's not like we just have one breakthrough and shazam, we've arrived. It's multiple breakthroughs of the perceptions and the beliefs and the thoughts that we've accumulated throughout life that probably don't even really serve our life. So it's a series of breakthroughs, but it's not a final destination. It's the act of, I guess, holistic healing, right? It's the holistic perspective of healing not just our bodies, not just our emotions, not just our mind, but healing our lives. What say you?
Well, yes, I agree, Lori. Breakthrough, the word itself implies an action.
Yeah.
The word implies movement and a doing. So very much so, yes. We can't sit on the couch under our blankie and claim breakthrough. Psychically, perhaps, emotionally, perhaps, conceptually, perhaps, but in our lives and in our realities and in a powerful and meaningful way, no. We've got to actually do it, whatever that it is. Because breakthrough is a very powerful way of describing how we shift a state.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, to me, breakthrough is always relevant to something that we've perceived as some kind of a block, something that we've internalized as some sort of a limit or a level, some kind of a stuckness.
Yeah.
And how do we shift a stuckness if we don't shift ourselves in terms of action and in terms of doing? And very often in the more metaphysical and quantum and even spiritual and faith-based communities, there is this idea that I can sit in meditative pose or I can pray and my breakthrough will miraculously come. Yes, it will, but it will come when you move to it. And so for me, it comes down to actually analyzing what the stuckness itself is, what the limit itself is, what the perceived block itself is, and then bringing all of me to bear on that. So energetically, where am I going to hold myself in relation to it? Have I got activations in my pain body around this thing? What subconscious beliefs am I holding? What am I consciously thinking? And crucially, at its core, right in the center of this block, what is its core limiting belief?
Mhm.
Because the core belief that sustains the block by nature is always going to be limiting.
Yeah.
That's why it's a block.
Yeah. Right.
So when we can bring all of our faculties to bear on what might be the supporting structure for this perceived limit, for this block, for this state that is unwanted, then what we're going to do is dig down to what that core limiting belief actually is. And those are stubborn. They need a sledgehammer. Hence the term breakthrough.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is not something we can be gracious and gentle about. When we want to break through, we've got to come with our power. We've got to come with authority. We've got to come with a sense of certainty of like, now that I've seen you, aha, I got your number. I know who and exactly what you are, core limiting belief.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to smash you. And we have to do that on a subconscious level. We have to do that on an emotional processing level. We have to do that on a mental construct level, but we also have to do that with our bodies. We've got to get our whole self up and moving and actually shift that energy and then allow those smashed and broken pieces to dissipate and leave. And it is in that process all those magical ahas happen. Because as it leaves in its wake that we see, oh, hang on, I never realized this, or I didn't know that, or I didn't perceive this. But we first have to smash that core limiting belief.
And in doing so, we are automatically bridging that gap again, right? That gap that we've talked about before is there's where we are now, and the difference between where we are now and what's behind smashing through that barrier is back to that authentic self again. And now we've bridged another gap. Breaking through is bridging another gap, right? It's just bridging from, like I said, where we are right now back to another piece of our authentic self, back to another piece of who we truly are, not who we thought we were, but who we truly are again, over and over and over and over, until our authentic self is really all that exists anymore. But this, a wise friend of mine says, the only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So this is, one belief at a time, one perception at a time, maybe a handful of emotions at a time, that we do this breaking through to return to that authentic self that never left us.
In the work that I do one-on-one with people, Lori, I can honestly say that one of the things I hear the most when people are stuck with any emotion or in a state, whether that's a physical state of health or an emotional state of being or a mental state of confusion, the thing that I hear the most when I question them is, I don't know.
Yeah.
When people are stuck behind some sort of a block, that's what you will hear. I don't know.
Yes.
And that is the very first thing that is never true. That is never, ever, ever, ever true. And so one of my favorite tools is to take that as face value, even though I don't believe it. And to say, okay, but if you did know, then what might it be? And you would be amazed at the waterfall of truth that instantly flows out of people in response to that question. So very often, what has been keeping us stuck and blocked behind this perceived thing is the lie of, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what caused it. I don't know what I could do about it. I don't know how to solve it. I need help of some sort. That's the lie that's been keeping us stuck behind the thing that we say we want to break through. Because the truth is, at heart, we always do know. We just haven't acknowledged it to ourselves. So we sit there behind this perceived block or under this perceived limit, telling ourselves that we don't know why we're stuck here. When in truth, it takes the tiniest little bit of examination to know exactly why we're stuck exactly there. And it literally only takes that one question. So I invite our viewers, if they find themselves stuck somewhere, to go to the bathroom, look at themselves in the mirror and say, okay, I don't know. But if I did know, what would it be? And answers will come. The answers will come. And what we're then open to do is to ignore those answers again, tell ourselves we don't know what we know, and buy into our own illusion again and keep ourselves where we are. And that's okay if that's where we are. Or to actually embrace the truth that comes to light and then move because of it. Shift a belief, shift an emotional state, shift your body, make different choices, move, because that is what will obliterate the limit and smash open the block.
Well, I'm very familiar with limits and blocks, very familiar with limits and blocks. And I think we all are. I'm not, I'm not insinuating that I'm any different than anybody else with the way that we tell ourselves that we can't, or that we don't know, or that we can't see, or we don't truly know ourselves. But I think it's in the getting quiet. And like you said, maybe even sometimes just looking in the mirror and talking to ourself and saying, what is it that you're struggling with right now? Tell me. I'm here. I'm listening. Tell me, what is it that you're struggling with? And, sometimes I can get it on my own, but sometimes I do have to reach out to people like you and be like, you know what? I am not seeing this. Can you help me see myself? See my game. Help me call me on my bluff.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
there's a famous meme, something along the lines of you're about to break through because of what you've been through.
Mm.
And as much as that is attempting to be encouraging, I have to offer that not necessarily. Because we can all, and we have all, gone through an awful lot. And was breakthrough ever really guaranteed?
Good point.
How many times can a situation have a longevity that is actually mind-blowing? A situation that we wish to shift or change, but it just stays the same and stays the same and stays the same ad nauseum, sometimes for years.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so again, it comes down to the doing. Breakthrough is not going to descend from on high. Breakthrough is not suddenly going to be sitting in the middle of the road waiting for me.
Darn it.
Just because I've been through, if I don't move myself with a sufficient amount of power and energy to create that breakthrough for myself, where's it supposed to come from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
And
let's
if it was to descend or appear in the middle of the road,
yeah.
who's it coming from?
Mm.
Why have I given that external power to whoever or whatever I perceive to be holding my potential breakthrough for me? It's
Right.
a crazy idea. It's wild.
It's an excellent point. So how do we find these breakthroughs? How do we take action? How do we um, create some kind of momentum and open doors and realize there's possibilities behind those doors that we didn't even know existed. One of the ways that I've done this to try to create some movement and create some energy or create some kind of inertia is putting myself in situations that I probably would not have necessarily chosen for myself, but new experiences are probably one of the best ways to instigate change. You know, maybe taking a class or taking a job, you know, a fun little part-time job, or learning a language. I guess the possibilities could be endless, but anytime that we start something, it is an opportunity to start propelling ourselves forward to create that change. And anytime we put ourselves in new situations, all of our beliefs are challenged, all of our thoughts are challenged, all of our perceptions come to light, and now we can start to move. Like you said, just take action, move. And I think for a lot of people, what does that look like?
You know what's amazing for me is, first of all, how when you change one thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's incredible how it changes everything. But changing one thing literally changes everything. It does.
Yeah.
That's why we haven't mastered time travel yet. Because we always think that we will go back and just change this one thing, right? And then everything else will still pan out exactly the same way, except for that one thing that we didn't want. But no, because if you change that one thing, by virtue of changing that one thing, you've changed everything.
Yeah.
So how do we not understand that if it could work that way in the past and we get it, how do we not understand that it can work that way right now?
Yeah.
That changing one thing can change everything. And that's not even the best part. The part that gets me bouncing on my chair is the fact that it does not matter how tiny the one thing is that we change. Touch your hair.
Yeah. That'll change.
Literally, just change one thing. Anything. Anything, anything, anything. And you have shifted the current reality. You have opened up all these new potentials. And then, like with everything else in life for me, it becomes a faculty of awareness.
Hmm.
Then you have to start applying your awareness to what those potentials and changes and shifts are not just going to be, but what they're going to show you. Because, like you say, it will all start bubbling up because
Yes.
it does.
Yes.
We don't even know what we have to confront from a decision as simple as cutting our hair. What is that going to mean and how is that going to feel? And I know there isn't a girl on the planet that doesn't relate to this, and maybe some guys as well.
Yeah. If they, Native Americans used to never cut their hair until they had a loved one pass, and then they would cut all of their hair off. So it can be a very profound experience just to cut hair. People
Yeah.
who, go through divorce or go through some kind of profound life change, they'll cut all their hair off. And then they wonder why they cut all of their hair off. It's cathartic. It really is. Not to overuse that word, but it really can be a huge shift. And
Yeah.
it's
And it doesn't
almost,
have to be cutting your hair.
yeah.
There are honestly so many small things that you can do differently. Go to bed half an hour earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if you always eat the same breakfast, switch it up.
Yeah.
Have something different every second day. But make one change, one small, easy to embrace change. And let that be what opens the door for you to walk through, to actually break through to things that you have thought are huge and impossible,
Yeah.
because they're not. If
Yeah.
you will move, if you will be committed to making a change and letting it change everything, it will. There's magic in it.
There really is. And I look toward things that are routine and habitual, things that we take for granted all of the time. Those are the little tiny things that we can, you know, even brushing with the opposite hand, brushing your teeth with the opposite hand, brushing your hair with the opposite hand. It's if you always put your right sock on first, do the left one. All of these little routines that we constantly do, instead of making coffee first, maybe take a shower first and then make the coffee. It's those little tiny subtle shifts in energy can really instigate change. It seems
Yeah,
so.
I think it functions as an energetic signal that
Mm,
the quantum field just instinctively grabs onto. It's like, oh wow, something shifted here. So like we get all this energy and all this focus in our direction. Because when things are the same and it's repeated, no attention needs to be paid to it. Energy doesn't really need to flow. It's energy conservative. And that's
mm,
what everything in the universe exists to achieve, is that conservation of energy. So when we shift it up, we literally call in that energetic focus that goes, hang on, what's changed here? And it opens up everything that is like we don't even fully understand yet, the potentials to actually shift and change everything. But I must issue a word of caution from personal experience about brushing your teeth with the other hand, because after my surgery I literally couldn't use my right arm for anything,
okay.
and I had to start training lefty to be able to do everything for me.
All
And
right.
I have to tell you, brushing my teeth with my left hand was the hardest thing to master. I actually hurt myself
Oh,
because I shoved my toothbrush in like too far back and actually
ouch.
knocked like the back of my jawbone. It was really, really painful for like a week. So then I was like all gingerly, like, not really doing the job that needs doing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm all for the swap the
Caution.
sock thing, but I'm not so sure that the brush with the opposite. Yeah, I don't know. Proceed at caution with that one, I would say.
Yes. Maybe don't put contacts in with your non-dominant hand. It could go a little wonky. Yes.
Just a little.
But I do encourage trying to write with the non-dominant hand. There is a journal exercise I used to do many years ago with writing a question and then writing an answer with your opposite hands. And that was really interesting. So that could be something
One
that,
of the things, one of the things that my children's kindergarten art teacher taught
mm,
me was that one of the ways to engage the less dominant hemisphere of the brain is not to do it with your undominant hand, but to actually use your dominant hand and deliberately draw it upside down.
oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. So that is something that I practice. And I mean, I'm the world's worst artist. I draw like a 3-year-old. I seriously do. It's just ridiculously bad. So, I can do ridiculously bad drawings upside down.
I love
Then
it.
they don't look any worse than the normal correct side up version would.
I love it. You can't tell the
It's
difference.
really simple things like, the triangle roof of the square house with the little square windows. Yeah, I draw like that. Okay. But nonetheless, it's a fun activity to engage. It is actually really, really powerful. It really, really works.
I love it. I have to try it now. I love it. I am not a good drawer. As a kid, nobody knew if I was drawing a horse or a dog or a goat or a lamb. It didn't matter. Oh, I
Okay,
love it.
well then let's say go bye-bye and you go draw upside down, Lori.
Let's do it. Let's go draw upside down. Thank you for connecting with Light for Life. If you appreciate reminders, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can receive those notifications. If you would like to work with one of us, you can find our contact information in the About section of this channel.
Yes, thank you for connecting with Light for Life. Please share your insights, your questions, and your comments with us in the comment section below. We value your feedback. And we really hope that we will see you for our next episode. We upload one every Thursday. Until then, bye-bye and be joyful.
Until we connect again, we send you love and light.